One of my favorite scenes from the novel Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader involves Darth Sidious' thoughts on the failure and physical transformation of his new apprentice Darth Vader following the events on Mustafar. In reminiscing about how it was that he was able to bring Anakin Skywalker to the dark side over the previous decade, Sidious couldn't help but consider what he was now left with following Vader's defeat to his former Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. This includes the disappointing conclusion that Vader, as he was after Mustafar, wasn't what he bargained for. In this regard, Sidious didn't hesitate to pinpoint the exact source of his disappointment. He knew that although Vader was only beginning his training in the dark side, he would never be able to summon Force Lightning, a product of his artificial arms and legs and cybernetics. It's an excellent reveal within the novel. One might think that from Sidious's point of view, it might be a good thing, given that it lowered the chances of Vader overthrowing him within the era of the Rule of Two. But just the opposite is true, as the novel makes clear that just as he did with Dooku, Sidious fully intended to teach Vader how to use Force Lightning, and the fact that Vader would never be able to use it was a disappointment. It should be noted that Sidious was still fully convinced that his apprentice was powerful, where replacing his current apprentice with someone more powerful would take years of searching the galaxy, potentially requiring Sidious to discover how to force the midichlorians to do his bidding and create a being as powerful as Vader. So if Sidious was confident he still possessed the most powerful apprentice in the galaxy, why was it Force Lightning that the Dark Lord uniquely focused upon, when his cybernetic limbs would limit Vader in so many other ways, both physically and with the Force? I believe the answer is found within the novel Darth Plagueis, written by James Luceno, the same author of the Dark Lord novel. As the Plagueis novel demonstrates through the lessons passed on from Darth Plagueis to his apprentice Darth Sidious, Force Lightning was certainly a valuable offensive force ability, but it was also so much more than that. In an era where the Sith engaged in a war with the Jedi from the shadows, exploiting their weaknesses through secret and cunning machinations, Force Lightning was less important as a way to destroy one's enemy than a representation of the Sith Order's goal with the Force in the Rule of Two era, and the true power of Sidious. In a fantastic scene, Plagueis explained the differences between the Sith and the Jedi. Unlike the Jedi, the Sith Order set out to warp the very existence of space and time to shape the galaxy to their own design. That is, they had an absolute purpose, which was to achieve a power so grand its extravagance would impress anyone who looked upon them. To achieve such power, Plagueis defined themselves in terms that made it apparent that they were in a total war against the Force itself. To dominate the Force, which was now the true end goal of Plagueis and Sidious, they couldn't comply with its edicts like the Jedi and even the Sith of a previous era had. The Force itself would resist their efforts and wage war against them as well. Thus, he and Sidious had to be stubborn and tenacious in their goals and had to be forever receptive to the currents of the dark side in order to stay ahead of it. And it's here where we see how Force Lightning figured into the goal of Plagueis and Sidious in their plans to not just dominate the galaxy, but the Force as well. Extending his arms before his apprentice, Plagueis unleashed a powerful storm of Force Lightning, igniting the grass in front of them instantly. As Plagueis would explain, Force Lightning represented their fight for strength, as the ability was only truly available to the Sith in its most powerful form. This was because it was a product of their thirst for power, requiring the Sith Lord to not be satisfied with the present magnitude of their own strength. Through the Sith journey of learning to command Force Lightning in its most powerful form, the Sith Lord had to learn to break the Force and compel it to do the bidding of the Sith. Because the Force, as we previously mentioned, continually resisted the desire of the Sith and their never-ending thirst for power, Plagueis was adamant that Force Lightning was a crucial component to learning how to make the Force answer their will, which eventually would allow them to completely dominate the galaxy's animating principle, becoming more powerful than the Force itself. Therefore, for the Sith in the era of Plagueis, Sidious, and Vader, Force Lightning was so much more than just a Force ability that could obliterate one's opponent. Vader didn't need Force Lightning as a means of unleashing his fury and wrath. His rage and its consequences were not slowed down through his artificial limbs and cybernetics, as a simple Force choke spoke volumes in this regard. Vader being unable to summon Force Lightning completely deprived him of a journey that represented the Sith goal of bending the Force to their will in ways that had never been achieved before, of striving for power that learned how to meet the resistance of the Force head-on and then compelling it to answer one's will, and to be forever stubborn and tenacious in their rejection of compliance, breaking the Force and allowing the Sith to be the ones to warp space and time to their own designs. As Plagueis and subsequently Sidious understood, Force lightning was the perfect embodiment of the Sith war against the Force, and the fact that Vader would never contribute to this battle was the primary source of Sidious's disappointment. So there we have it, Sidious's admission of his disappointment in Vader's inability to summon Force lightning and why. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can find a link to it in the description below, along with all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... For it just kind of looks cool too.